podcast. Welcome to this week's episode of the Anime Bros. I'm your host, Chris, and my co-host,
Matt over here. We're going to be talking about one that Chris recommended last week. It's called Darling in the Franxx. I mean, I thought it was just all right. I don't know what do you think about it? You've seen this one a few times.
Yeah, so it was actually my second time watching it. First time I watched it, I thought it was actually really good. But then rewatching it, I thought there was some clear problems with it, and I wasn't as interested in rewatching it as I was the first time seeing it. So unfortunately, it dropped down a little bit for me.
I mean, I finished it out just because it wasn't that long, and I was most of the way through it. But just on episode, I believe it was either 20 or 21, when they introduced the Verm or whatever th're called, just absorb people and they like become like one entity. It really just reminded me of like Naruto when like Kaguya just came out of nowhere. I was like, what are you? I thought you were fighting these clocksaurs or whatever they're called, claxors, the whole show, and then I was like, I don't even know where this is going anymore.
Hey, I did tell you the last 4 to 5 episodes was hard to swallow. You didn't want to believe me though, but I was like,
You originally told me after 13, so I got to episode 13 and I kept watching and I was like, I don't know what he's talking about. It didn't drop off in my mind, but then as soon as it got to like there, I was like, is this?
Yeah, I told you episodes 9 through 15 I thought were like the best. And I told you earlier today, like the last 4 or 5 episodes, you can tell me if you're going to drop it, because to me they were hard for me to get through, because rewatching it, I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and then 02, she like just became like that robot thing. Like she was like the exterior Frank thing, or they called it something else. It was like whatever their super weapon was, but she like wasn't even like a physical like living being anymore. She like was like the thing that Hiro was piloting. I was like, how did she just become this robot thing?
Bro, she ascended past it. She ascended past the human body. It was like, yo, I mean, she had a higher purpose.
Dude, I don't know. I just thought it was weird, and then no one else like addressed it. They were just talking to her like it was nothing, but I was like, she's literally like this metal thing now.
To be fair, like it comes back to the thing that Naruto was doing. I mean, they're bringing ninjas back from the dead, so aliens wasn't really out of the question. These kids, they're out here fighting like these mini dinosaurs that are like coming out of the cut. There's like thousands of them like taking down plantations, while who they thought was like their papa is lying to them to their face. Her turning into a robot probably didn't surprise me that much. They're like, we've seen a lot. We've been in war for like the last 10 years. They just taking hits as it comes.
I mean, I feel like just watching this show the whole time, it was real choppy. Even from like episode 1, I didn't even really know what was going on. I thought the action was kind of weak a little bit. Just fighting these like reptile type things the whole time that are also like metal, and I just didn't really know what was going on. They kind of like started explaining stuff towards the end of the show, but I didn't really know what was going on for most of the show, and I definitely didn't know what was going on at the end.
I told you it was very like story driven, but it kind of mainly centered around Hiro and 02, which is why I thought like those 6 episodes in the middle when it was doing his backstory.
I think the main reason I was confused is because when I was going into it, you told me the show was like Elfen Lied. I don't see how it was like Elfen Lied at all. They seem like completely different things. So I feel like I was just misled from the start.
Okay, like it's not as much like Elfen Lied as I thought at first, but there are like main similarities.
I feel like the only one is that 02 had horns, and then Lucy, like she had those vectors in Elfen Lied. I feel like that was the only similarity. Show me a movie with like a Minotaur in it. You're gonna like tell me that's similar because the Minotaur has horns.
He also had horns. They were also childhood friends, right? Also, when they got back together, like when they friends when they were much older, like 02 and Hiro. Hiro did not remember what happened in his childhood, just like Koda. He didn't remember what happened. He didn't remember who Lucy was, and then somehow they became like friends again. And then they went along a path which allowed Koda and Hiro to remember that this was the girl from their past. And in both cases, they tried to befriend that girl in the past, which that's what Hiro did. He tried to save 02. That's what Koda did with Lucy. I feel like that was pretty similar. They both played that hero-ish, lost the memory from the past, and then end up coming back around and remembering it, and then like loving the girl that they knew since childhood.
I guess I can see that, but
And then
that didn't make me think that the shows were similar. It just made me think that like those characters are similar. Like you told me the show was like Elfen Lied, so I was trying to look for similarities like within
we would
like the
have to
main plot.
we would have to. I didn't say the main plot was like it. We would have to look for like my exact verbiage, but Hiro and Koda had like a similar backstory to how the show tried to mold the overarching story around what happened to them. And then you got that same like backstory episode when they were kids, kind of explaining how things went along. Um, Something tragic happened that allowed them to like lose their memory, and then like circle back around. And you're like, oh, and obviously like Elfen Lied, the anime made it so it was definitely like a romance aspect to it once he remembered who Lucy was, which was the same what happened in this show too.
Yeah, I just thought Elfen Lied was a lot better of a show.
Uh,
And
was it?
I wouldn't even necessarily rank Elfen Lied that highly either. I think I gave it like a 6 or a 7 when we talked about it, but I think it was like noticeably better than this one.
I don't know if it was noticeably better. Like I like the story, I like the visuals. Even the theme songs that they had, kind of moved me a little.
And this one,
Yeah, I like the opening theme.
I thought that I was hoping to get like a different song in like the second half of the show, but they just changed up like the intro animation. They didn't change the song. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling that song too much. I actually like skipped it. A lot of times when I watch anime, like I'll actually watch the whole opening theme.
What I'll watch the opening theme for like maybe the first 2 or 3 episodes, and I'll skip it every single time. I think
If it's a good track, I'll watch it.
not even then. I need to save that extra minute and 30 to get onto the show. I think
I guess I'm more here. I appreciate the music a little more than you, maybe.
I mean, I can appreciate the music, but it's like, do you listen to the same? Do you listen to your favorite song every single day, 5 times in the morning?
Not every day, but I'll listen to it. I'm not opposed to listening to it a few times in a row.
Oh yeah, a few times in a row, but like,
But that's essentially what it is. If
no,
I'm
no,
watching,
because this is a 24 episode anime. You probably have this split up to like 4 or 5 days. You're watching 4 or 5 episodes a day, and you're telling me like, that's the equivalent of you watching your favorite song for an entire week, 5 times in the morning, as soon as you wake up.
that Code Geass, like the second opening, I would listen to that one every time. I thought that was a pretty cool track.
Oh yeah. Like there is like ReZero. I think I listen to the opening like around 60 to 75% of the time, but I would say definitely around 95% of the time after I see the opening 2 or 3 times, even though I like the opening, I'm skipping it. The rest of the time I'm watching the show. It's just what it
Well,
is.
well, sometimes that gives me like an opportunity to like get up and do something. Just have the track on in the background and then get up, do something real quick, and then come back, sit back down.
For a minute and 30 seconds, it's like walking to the kitchen and walking back.
Well, my apartment's not that big, so that's very feasible.
And still, wait, the thing is that it's
My
not,
living room's like connected to my kitchen, so yeah, I just leave it on the table,
but
leave the
it's
laptop on the
true.
table, and then
But the
get back.
overarching point is like I don't mind watching it 2 or 3 times. I'm talking about you're talking about watching it 5 times every single day. So unless you're hitting your kitchen 5 times, like in that minute 30, like you just walking to your kitchen and walking back.
I think it's a nice break when you're binge watching something. You can just get up for a minute and move around, then come back and binge it some more.
I agree with that.
go to
But
the bathroom or something, you know.
yeah, I'm not saying that like you can't do something about playing the opening theme song.
I was just
It's,
trying to say like I wasn't feeling the song in the show.
I mean, yeah, 24 episodes of the same theme song. I think the writers got kind of lazy. I feel like there was definitely a lot of holes that they could have cleared up, and it did have the potential to have like a much deeper story of like why the foundation was started in the first place.
Like I kind of figured that those people like Papa and those other guys were going to be the main villains because they seem like kind of dark and ominous like the whole time. But I really don't know why they were even pretty much harvesting all those children and like making them do all that stuff.
I mean, do you think they're going to do it themselves?
I feel like they could have just like taken over that planet like without having to do all that stuff.
That'd be too easy. What they needed is somebody that like.
Too easy. Like they made it complicated to the point where they didn't even succeed.
But what they needed was people to do it that were unaware of what they were doing, so their hands can technically remain clean.
Okay, like you got the humans fighting those clock swords or whatever they're called.
Claxosaurs.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you got you got them fighting them the whole time. They could have just swooped down and destroyed everyone because like in that point it would be really a three-way battle, even though it should only be like everyone on Earth against them. The humans were like still fighting those reptile things, so you could have easily just took them over in that state of chaos.
They could have, yeah.
Plus,
I
when
get.
they were doing the backstory, they said there was like clock sapiens or whatever
Mhm.
originally there. So like, where did the humans even come from if those guys were originally there?
Yeah, see, that's what I say. The story definitely has like some holes where I was like,
It's because they just tried to explain it all. Like I'm watching the show the whole time, and then it really seemed like the last 5 to 7 episodes is when they started like introducing like more backstory and
yeah, they cranked that shit up to the max. It was like, I don't know. I feel like the first 9 episodes, it was trying to get, because I thought the premise of the show the first time I was watching it was you never read Lord of the Flies, but it was
mm-hmm.
basically seeing how these kids would how they react like being cut off from everybody. Like they're basically studying the kids, running tests on them because they were stuck in that house.
Yeah.
And first 9 episodes was trying to get like 0-2 into that team. And then episodes 9 to 15 was explaining like, okay, where 0-2 came from, how like she got there, Hiro's backstory, um, and I was fine with that. And then like the last 7 8 episodes, it was like, yeah, forget the first 15 episodes that we used to set up for the development of all these kids. Now we're just like fucking transformers coming out of the sky. We're taking this shit to space. Like they were just like, let's throw everything in there. They said whatever idea you have, let's find some way to incorporate it in the show.
I also don't understand why they needed two people like piloting those ships. They said that was the only way it worked for like the Franxx to work. You had to have like a male female pair. Why couldn't that doctor have just like made a robot where you didn't have to do that? The whole like they even said they had to sacrifice lots of people for this experiment to try and like figure out how to like make it operate perfectly. Why wasn't he just trying to make something that you didn't need two people to operate?
I mean, it's like saying, why did it like Naruto learn the Sharingan? It was just one of the rules in the shows that couldn't be broken. It just had to be male and female.
Yeah, but he's creating that from nothing. He's like, I'm going to create a machine that's going to fight these guys. Why didn't he just make a machine that like you didn't need two people to operate?
Maybe it wouldn't have been as powerful. It'd have been like half as powerful.
Okay, so what did them like having to be in those pairs like have to do with it being powerful? Like I still didn't even understand that part.
It was like
Like
oh
it wouldn't work if you didn't have a male female team.
no. Think
So
about it
like
like
why didn't he just design it differently to where that didn't matter?
wait. Think about it like this. Remember when Naruto and Sasuke was first fighting Madara? Naruto went into his like his Nine Tails Fox mode. The fox came out, and then Sasuke's Susanoo like covered Naruto's Nine Tails, and
Okay.
then they fought together like while inside like Nine Tails covered Susanoo. that's kind of like, it's like saying, oh, why didn't Kishimoto design Naruto's Nine Tails so he can bring out the Susanoo by himself and cover it so he wouldn't need Sasuke?
I just didn't even really understand like what the different people were doing. Like who controlled what? I never really understood that. Like was one person like controlling the legs and someone controlling the arms? Like I really had no idea what was.
I think like it was like some, it was like the, I guess the male was like controlling all the limbs, and the
It
girl was,
honestly seemed like the girl was doing more work. I really don't know what the guys were doing at all.
they were the eyes. They're the ones that like they saw what was happening, they reacted to it. It was like the I think the girls were like the source of the power, and then the guys used that power.
Yeah, they just had the girl like bent over in front of them, and then maybe
And
that was the whole reason for having two of them is just to get the girl in that position.
yeah, I mean they did try it one time with the two girls trying to trying to see if it worked, and it didn't work.
Yeah, just because he designed it that way. But if this is like this doctor developed a way for people to be immortal, he can't develop like a machine that can work independently of two people.
I mean, he probably did, but he figured out that like the male and female was the strongest pairing out of all that.
Well, you would see like the guy would or the girl would just randomly get tired or beat up, and then it just wouldn't work anymore. So I don't really think that's the most efficient way to do it.
Nah, but because the girl was the power source. Once you beat up the power source, like you get your chakra network attacked. It doesn't matter how many jutsu you know, your chakra network is done for. So they destroyed the power source, which was the girl, and the guy couldn't do anything after that. It
You'd
was
see
like
the guy get like beat up, and then it wouldn't work anymore either. Like that Mitsuru or whatever his name was.
yeah, Mitsuru
Yeah,
guy,
yeah, he was getting tired all the time, and then it would
and
stop working.
yeah, exactly because he was the one controlling the limbs. Like the girl couldn't control the limbs; she was the power source. It
And
was like
his girl, like, I don't. She betrayed the bigger dude. I don't Futushi or
it
whatever.
was Kokoro who betrayed. I forgot what the guy's name was.
It was like Futushi or something.
Was
I don't
that
know
was
why she made that promise. If she didn't like, she immediately broke that promise. So like, I don't even think it lasted a full day.
I don't think she understood like the weight of that promise, or it was a lot more important to him than it was to her. And she was just learning. And he was one of those fake nice guys. He believed that like, yo, if I'm like super nice, and he lost. He lost. This is what it was.
What do you mean he was a fake nice guy?
What do you mean he wasn't a real nice guy? If he was a real one, he let her go, or he wouldn't have pressured her into making that promise, knowing that she probably didn't feel the same way back.
But he did let her go. He like wanted to be like the in the wedding. He wanted to be like the person that was like seeing her off.
Oh yeah, I mean that was like way down the line. I'm talking about like when it was happening, like right before they ended up uh, switching pilots. Yeah, think about
She's just like, yeah, I promise, and then like hours later, she's like, actually, nah.
she. Are you saying that she does not have the right to change her mind? I think she does.
So if like we made a promise together,
Mm-hmm.
and then just like later that day, I was like, oh yeah, I wasn't serious at all. You
That's a lot better than like 5 years later. You're like, actually, I wasn't serious about that promise. I just led you on for 5 years. Well, it was only a couple
you
hours.
can apply it. I feel like the act is atrocious though, and you can apply it to several different scenarios. Like, what if we're making like some sort of business deal, and then like we each agree to like bring in someone to help us, and then just immediately I'm like, yeah, we all agree on something, and then me and the other dude just like kick you out like 5 minutes later.
But that's not what happened though. Nah, it's like
It
say we
pretty
had a
much is a third person got involved, and then he got kicked out.
no, it's like, hey, look, Matt, I'm gonna be over there at 8 o'clock, and they're like, all right, made that promise. Then I call her like 2 or 3 hours later. Hey, look, My friend got in a car crash. I got to take him to the hospital. I can't
I
make
feel
it.
like my example is way more comparable than what you said.
What do you mean? So
Because then you're in your scenario, there's like no consequence. You're like,
there's
all right,
a third person. What do you mean? A third person got hurt. I had to help him.
yeah, but the consequence for you breaking my promise is like, okay, I'll just hang out with you a different time. The consequence for him was like this whole future that he had envisioned was no more. Whereas you showing up late, that doesn't really
No,
affect my future plans too much.
No, I couldn't come at all. So your future plans of us hanging out that day were canceled.
But I could still hang out with you a different day. He can't do a different day what he was trying to do.
he could still imagine it, but like that was like
I just didn't see it coming. Maybe you saw it coming, but I thought she was being genuine in that moment.
She was being genuine, but feelings change, and
her feelings changed like immediately. I feel like or not even changed immediately. I feel like she always had those feelings. She just like agreed to do something she would never be able to do in the first place.
Because I think she wanted to be nice. She didn't want to tell him no, but I feel like it was clear in that situation that she saw him differently than when he saw her as, and he just couldn't pick up the context clues.
Yeah, I just feel like she knew in that moment that she wasn't going to be able to uphold that promise, so she just never should have made it. I actually believe that it wasn't that she changed her mind. I think she liked the Mitsuru that whole time, so she knew that she was never going to be able to do that.
Riddle me this then: if you have a kid, he has cancer on his deathbed, you're his doctor. He's like,
it's my kid and I'm the doctor.
No. It's a different kid.
Okay, I'm the doctor.
Oh, you're gonna get? Yeah, I guess you're the doctor. And he's like, hey, look, Matt, 10-year-old kid, stage 4 cancer. Hey, am I gonna make it? And it's up to you to comfort him because he's probably gonna die in a couple hours. What do you tell him?
I mean, like, you could tell him something to like make him feel better, and then if he passes away, like he'll never know I lied because he's not around.
No,
whereas the big dude, who I'm still trying to figure out his name, Futoshi, he's around, dude. He's got to live with, and I actually feel like he handled it pretty well. He was like cool with it. He was like supporting them. He's like, nah, you guys like gotta get your memories back. You guys gotta remember that you guys are like. He easily could have taken advantage of that opportunity when she forgot her memory.
He could have, but he probably would have been like, he would have went down the same road again. He got crashed and burned twice.
Yeah, I guess if he did that, the best case scenario he would be raising Mitsuru's kid, which isn't even that good. So,
I mean, maybe not. Like if he would have like done something with her after that point, and then they discovered that she was pregnant, he could have been like, "Oh, it's my kid." He would be none the wiser. But
there's like a short time window if he's actually gonna convince himself that that's his kid. He would have had to make some quick moves.
He would have. But I mean, at the same time, your first words was you would tell him something to comfort him, and that's what she did to Toshi. She told him she agreed to his promise in order to comfort him, knowing it just wasn't going to happen. But she couldn't bear to break his heart until like a couple hours later, where she realized that, you know what, this probably shouldn't go on too long, and then she had to bring his world crashing down. And just like the kid with cancer in the bed, those are his emotions. His emotions are going to the grave because what he wants is never going to happen. So he has to live with that.
I mean, I don't have to lie to the kid. I can be like, you know what, like, we're gonna get through this together, and we're gonna do something fun today. Like, what do you want to do? We'll do whatever you want. So she could have said something to like where it wasn't like, I'm gonna break this promise in like 5 minutes. I think it might have been within like the same episode, or at least one episode later. She's just like, actually, nah.
Yeah, but
I don't know why you're defending her.
I think she had a right. She got put on the spot by this dude saying, "Hey, look, I want you to make this lifetime promise. I need your answer now." Didn't give her time to think.
So if someone did that to you, they put you on the spot like that, I feel like you would just tell them you're not capable of doing that.
It depends on what the problem. It depends on like what is being said. Like
If a
perfectly.
girl came up to you and was like,
Look, perfect. Yeah, exactly. The girl came up
Christian,
to me.
you're gonna be mine forever. Like, make me this promise right now. You're gonna say, I promise.
No, 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 no.
I feel like you definitely wouldn't say that. You would tell
I,
her.
I wouldn't. But say I went on a date with this girl, and then it was an all right dinner, all right movie, and afterwards we were like, oh yeah, we're about to leave, and she said, yeah, we should definitely do this again sometime. I'll be like, oh yeah, definitely, sure, even if the date was bad. And then obviously after we leave, and she texts and she's like, hey, look, we were trying to hang out again. I'd be like, actually, I don't think this is going to work out. I'll tell them a couple hours later or the next day to spare their
If she
feelings.
said like, promise me we'll hang out again, you would promise her, and then when she hits you up, you would be like, actually, never mind.
Or if she says promise me, I'll be like, yeah, of course. I wouldn't say the words like I promise.
Damn, dude. If I wasn't feeling her, I wouldn't make these promises to her.
But I wouldn't say yes. I promise we'll hang out again. I'll be like, oh yeah, sure. Kind of like a mediating answer. And then when she's like, so I'm trying to call in on that promise. Actually, I can't keep that promise. And then I'll be like, probably spin some yarn. I had another day with another.
I don't know. I should be out here like making promises with you then. It don't mean nothing to you.
It does. I came forward with the truth later. I didn't keep the lie going. I'd be like, actually, I had another date with
So
another.
I shouldn't take your promise at face value. I should just see if I'm
No,
able to cash in on it later.
it depends on what the promise is. Like this is
I don't think it depends. I feel like if you promise someone you're going to do something, you should do your best to keep it. Like in that scenario where you said there's like a car crash, like obviously that's like beyond your control. But I feel like you should
exactly
do
her
it.
her but her emotions was beyond her control.
Oh, I don't buy that at all. If you try to debate that,
You're trying to tell me she was in control of her emotions while going through puberty or whatever they're going through, like those hormones of liking somebody else.
I feel like it was a poor defense.
What's
Just
that?
blame it on your hormones. You could be like, I didn't get enough sleep that day, so when I made that promise, I was tired.
Hey, look.
That's a good excuse. I can use that on you.
No, no. I think that could be a valid defense in that situation. She can be like, "Hey, look, my decision making skills were hindered because I was tired."
Because I'm a teenager.
Yeah,
My decision skills were hindered because I'm a young
exactly,
girl.
exactly. So she's a teenager. She couldn't
And we
handle
should
it.
just not expect anything of uh, children in that case.
Yes, it's like, dude, you know how
Because
many
you're
high
already
school.
giving them the excuse that they're a child.
Yeah, no, no. You know how many high school relationships? You know, you're in eighth grade or ninth grade. They're like, yeah, promise you'll be together forever, and rarely does that ever work out because
Yeah, but they probably don't like the next day unless they're like,
maybe you know the dude could like come to a sentence with a girl and be like, you know what, actually, forever, nah. Or they could promise, right? They could promise, and then the next day, one of them finds out their
I'm not saying it
significant.
can't happen, but I'm saying is it the right thing to do? And you're saying you just gave me several examples where you actually yourself would do that.
But yo, it's like, look, what if you and your girlfriend promise to be together forever, and then she says yes, of course, and then the next day you find out your significant other was cheating? Are you gonna be like, well, we promised to stay together forever, so I'm gonna eat her cheating, I'm gonna stay with her?
No, I'm not saying I would stay with her, but I feel like you would have
But you
you,
promised though.
no. I would be upset though. So I feel like that guy had the appropriate response of like being like, what the hell's going on? You said like you were gonna be my partner.
See, but then that partner meant like just piling the Franks together.
Well,
It
she didn't
wasn't.
even do that.
Oh yeah, because he took partner a little bit too far. It was like, oh, I want you to promise to be my wife, and then but
He
under
didn't
like
even
the
say
guise.
that.
Yeah, exactly. He said partner, but then that's what he wanted. But she was like, of course, I'll be your partner, piloting the
Yeah, but she
Frank.
didn't even do that.
Yeah, because because she thought that his partner was Frank's. he thought that she knew wife or whatever, and she was like, whoa, whoa,
No, I'm
whoa,
saying
whoa,
she
whoa.
didn't even stay his partner in the Franxx. So
Yeah, that's what I'm
regardless of what he meant, she didn't even like do what his words meant literally.
because when they find out that that was somebody he actually bit, it was like, well, you're going too far. I can't even pilot the Franks with you.
Possibly.
See, yes, it's just like, yeah, you want to be my. It's like what you call it? Oh, it's like if you said, hey, look, you go to your best friend, hey, you want to be my partner in this, and you're like, yeah, yeah, sure. You probably think business partner, but then he means like, yeah, Matt, I want you to be my husband. Now when that comes up to light, you're like, whoa, 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 husband, I can't be your business partner right now because I don't fly that way. You got to back up. That's what she did to him.
Yeah, but I feel like he never even said that he wanted them to be together like that. Like we knew, the audience knew that that's what he meant, but I feel like he never said that. Like
He
you have all these other people, like Ichiko, she's telling Hiro exactly how she feels. Goro's telling Ichiko exactly how he never like opened up like that, I feel like, until after she betrayed him, and then he was like, "What? Like, I loved you. I wanted you to do it." But he never said all that prior. I think he was actually just content in that moment with her just being his piloting partner. But she like betrayed that
I
even.
think I think it was implied, and she sensed that implication, which
Then
made
she
her.
should have just said no up front. Like I feel like you're setting a bad example by giving people excuses to do this.
I think I'm saying that she should be able to enact on her emotions how she sees fit. She should not be chained down to a promise she no longer wants to keep. She deserves that right. Are you telling
Dude,
me
she decided she didn't want to keep it like 5 minutes later.
are you telling me she's not allowed to do that, Matt? Are you saying that this girl is not allowed to follow her emotions and break off that promise when she wants to?
I mean, she can. I'm just saying she shouldn't. I feel like she was always gonna do that. So
Exactly. So are you saying that was wrong for her to do? Are you
yeah,
uh,
she should have just said no up front. I think it was wrong.
no, 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 no. You didn't know though. She probably intended to keep.
She misled him like you misled me into watching the show.
No, no. She probably intended to keep that promise, but when she found out new information, she was like,
I don't know
actually,
how she found that out because he didn't. There was. I feel like there was no other conversation other than that.
maybe wait. She was put on the spot. She got a couple hours to think afterwards, and then she was like, hold up. Now that I'm revisiting this conversation, something doesn't seem right. Let me go ahead and cancel that promise before it gets like too much into it. And she was wait, I can't remember. Did they know about like Ichigo and Garu? Did they know about them?
What do you mean?
Like about their feelings toward or about Garu's feelings towards Ichigo?
Did they know that?
Yeah, I can't remember if like the crew knew about it.
I don't think so.
Hmm. Was that to say they probably looked around, they probably saw like Zero Two and Hiro, probably saw like the other like all the other pilots, and they're like, she was like, you know what? I see all these other pilots ending up together. I don't want to end up with this guy, and that's probably what he wants. So let me go ahead and nip that in the bud before it gets to another level.
No, I understand the reasons for like not wanting to pilot with him. I just feel like she shouldn't have like promised to do it if she knew the whole time she wanted to be with some other guy.
No, no.
She even like acknowledged she's like that was a pretty terrible thing that I did, and this is like my punishment or something. I don't remember the context of what was going on when she said that, but I guess she was sad about something, and she was like, "This is my punishment for doing that." So she even acknowledged that it was pretty crummy.
No, no, I think you're just trying to make him feel better. You're just probably like, yeah, you're right. It's not your fault, Satoshi.
So you think she was like the most manipulative then? If she's out here just like saying stuff she doesn't mean all the time?
No, she was just trying to make him feel better. So, because he was obviously a little bit fragile, he wasn't eating. Uh, he was like pretty emotional, couldn't really stick his feelings up front. So she wanted to make
She
sure.
said this to Mitsuru.
What's that?
She said this to Mitsuru when they were in that like garden dome
Mm,
greenhouse.
about what?
That's when she said like she was opening up about breaking that promise and being sad or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I still think she's trying to make the dude feel better. She had to like find some way to be like, hey, look, I know this is gonna hurt, but I have to find some way to cut it off clean break because I want you. You know what they say. Uh, don't let having a boyfriend stop you from finding your husband.
You're just giving all cheaters an excuse to do whatever they want.
No. You should break you should break up with her first. But I'm just out here trying to spit game. I'm on her side. I think she did the correct thing.
Maybe I mean she got what she wanted in the end, so I guess. But I just feel like she could have gone about it a different way. I feel like that guy had every right to like hate her, but he ended up like still being down and supporting.
You know why? Because he was a simp. That's why.
He ended up getting someone at the end. I didn't know who that girl was at the last episode, but he ended up having like 4 kids. So
Yes, she appeared in one of the earlier episodes, but I can't remember who she was either.
was
But
it
she was
that
she was like,
Naomi girl that got captured, or was it someone else?
I think the Naomi girl died.
No, they brought her back at the end. She was just like in some like isolated tube.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. They weren't actually killing them. They like brought back like a whole bunch of them. Like, okay, this is where they all went to. Which it was, I don't know why she pushed Hiro away, so Hiro wouldn't like go down with her. But
I had no idea what was going on. The first episode, I feel like they just threw me in this story and expected me to know all this, and then just gave me the backstory at the end. Like I had no idea what was going on then when they got attacked in the first episode.
yeah, it kind of like puts you like directly in the middle of the action.
I actually watched this in sub. I meant to tell you that I could not handle the dub acting.
What's wrong with the dub?
Every single character sounded like a scrub.
A scrub. I mean, they're kids. What do you expect them to sound like? They know like they know Ichigo or Goku or Naruto running around here. They got to sound like 13, 12-year-old kids.
I didn't think they sound like as much scrubs in the sub. So
I mean, because the sub's better. I didn't rewatch it in dub, and it wasn't that bad to me. It's kind of how I expected them to act. Or
I normally like the dub, but I couldn't handle it in this one.
couldn't handle it.
I normally prefer the dub, I should say. Like when I was watching ReZero, when I tried watching it in sub the second time, I was like, I cannot handle Subaru right now.
What?
Gotta flip the dub back on. But in this case, it was like the opposite. I could not handle the way Hiro sounded, and I'm like, Hero's the main character. I gotta listen to him the whole time sounding like this. So,
I mean, he sounded pretty cool in the sub and in the dub. How did you feel when you realized that like he couldn't pop the Franxx because he fucked up when he was a kid?
oh, that made me. I mean, you were comparing it to Elfen Lied, but I thought it was like he reminded me of Ken Kaneki in Tokyo Ghoul, where he was just kind of like a scrub until he became a ghoul. I felt like Hiro was kind of just a scrub until he was able to pilot with 02.
I know, but you saw the reason why he couldn't pilot, right?
Um. Oh, I know they were injecting him with a lot of stuff, and he got like his memory is wiped, but I don't remember other than that.
It was because he like licked the blood.
Oh yeah, he was becoming like 02. He ended up growing those horns.
Yeah, well, I guess him licking or blood or like a straight knee when they were younger, caused his.
He couldn't like sync up with anybody.
Yeah, messing up his sync.
So yeah, everyone was just like picking on him, like saying he was weak.
Well, I mean,
and I actually kind of believed he was weak. I feel like 02 carried them a little bit.
Nah. But
he was strong only because he was the only one compatible with her. If there was someone else like that was compatible, I feel like she would have just rode with him. Well,
nah. But let's not forget, if he never like licked her straight knee, he would be the second best pilot in the group.
You don't know that.
What do you mean? It was his number.
I didn't watch that show, so I don't know what he would have been like if he never if he never licked the blood. I only saw the show where he licked the blood, so I don't know.
No. You did not see the explanation for it, or
yeah, he had a low number or whatever. He was like in the teens, and they're supposed to be the strongest.
Yeah, him and Ichigo. Ichigo was like 015 and he was 016. So they were the two strongest. And he had like one of the highest potentials, obviously, until he like fucked up.
Yeah,
Um,
but having the highest potential doesn't mean you're actually gonna be good.
would
I
you
think
rather
he,
your
I
number
th-
to be look, would you rather your number to be 016 or the other dude that has 666 as his number?
do you know what a bust is though? Like you can have all
Yeah.
this potential and then not live up to it. I feel like that's what he was doing.
No. But that's different though.
I don't know. I felt like they were all picking on him. He wasn't really sticking up for himself, regardless of whether he's a good pilot or not. He could have like stuck up for himself, but he was letting that little Zorome guy like put him down. I would never take shit from that guy ever.
He was your classic bully. Somebody.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if the bully is like the smallest guy in the group, like there's something you can easily do about that.
They're like, but you don't want to hurt them though. Like it's one of those people that's like their bark is louder than their bite. You got to let them do what they're trying to do.
Well, you got to encourage that, and then also encourage people breaking their promises. I don't understand what you.
No. He had to compensate for being the lowest number in the group. So give him his little props. He was hanging with them. He was like, "Yo, my number may be 666, and I might be the lowest and the youngest in the group, but I'm gonna be out in the front lines telling people how to run things."
Okay, that's fine.
Much respect to him.
I can't. I feel like I just can't debate you on this stuff.
You expected like him not to bully Hero? He was trying to bring out the best in him.
I just expect Hiro to squash that immediately. Like, dude, what are you saying to me right now?
How could
I'll give you another chance because I felt like you were talking shit to me, but I'm probably mistaken you because you wouldn't do that, right? And then if he says it again, you beat him down.
no, but how can you squash it when he's better at piloting than you?
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. Hiro's just a scrub.
But yeah, he was a scrub. So like that guy was the bully because he wasn't a scrub.
Yeah, and if that guy's better than you, then I think that you are weak. So I feel like 0-2 carried him a little bit.
But and then why can't that guy just be strong?
I don't know. I don't.
He wasn't a bust. He was who he was. He was Giannis. He's coming in.
Who's the honest?
He was Giannis.
Yeah, which character?
Uh, the 666 dude.
Dude, don't disgrace Giannis like that. You can compare him to a cooler character than that.
All right, let me see. It was I'm trying to think of somebody that like came in, second round pick, and then just like vastly overperformed, became a star. Kyle Kuzma. No one expected Kuzma to be what he is now, and that's what 666 was.
I guess.
He can't be a scrub. And then that guy was what was that guy that used to that used to play with Kobe Bryant that was supposed to be good and he ended up being trash. Kwame Brown. He was Kwame Brown.
All right. So the doctor dude, Dr. Franxx,
Oh yeah.
they showed his backstory. I thought it was kind of cool. But when that girl, that other female scientist doctor, was just talking about how she was wanting to get married, have a kid through like natural childbirth, and then he figured out that she was actually talking about him. He like went back to his lab and like flipped this switch off, and then it looked like a child growing in like this tube. It just like disintegrated. So do you know what that was? Because I was trying to look up what that was all about after the show, or after that episode, and I couldn't figure out anything about it.
Yeah, I don't think I could figure out anything about it either.
Was he like trying to clone himself? And then the girl was like, "Oh, I want to actually have like a real child." And then he was like, "All right, I can just knock this chick up instead of like cloning myself." I don't know what he was doing.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that scene because I actually finished it like early last week, the episodes. But I basically skimmed through the last 4 or 5 because I was like, "Yo, all right."
I mean, I'm sure like it was easy to miss because it was literally just like a 2 second scene. It was like of a montage. Him like going off doing his experiments after that girl said that she wanted to marry him. Then he just like flipped this switch off and this like, it looked like a child growing in a tube.
Maybe I can kind of see that. He was like, you know what, mate, she's right. Let me procreate with her instead of like going this route. Either way, that
That's
was
that's how I was interpreting it, but I could be way off, especially since this show was just jumping all over the place.
there was a lot of jumping around. Like it was like each episode just jumped around more and more. If if I had watched like the first 15 episodes and someone was like, "Hey, look, by episode 23 you're gonna be in space," I would have been like, "There's no way. There's no way this show ends up being in space fighting something else."
The whole time I was watching it, I was thinking this would be at the floor of a show I would recommend. I was gonna give it like a 5 out of 10. And as we've been doing this show, I've been having to like adjust my rating scale because I forget how highly I ranked Batum. I'd probably give Batum a 6. I don't know if I gave it higher than that when we actually did the episode.
I think give it a 7.
I mean, it's like a 6, 7. It was pretty good. I liked Batum, but this show, I was gonna say like, hey, this is the floor of like a show. Like, I wouldn't necessarily recommend, but I wouldn't say you can't watch it. I was gonna say it's like not good, not bad. I was gonna give it a 5. I was gonna say it's right, but as the last 5 episodes or whatever went on, I think it dropped down to like 4. Like I think people could pass on this one.
It did. It gave me some. What was that show called? Guilty Crown. Have you seen that?
No, you said you might want to do an episode on that, so I started to watch some of it, and that's actually one that I had to switch over to the sub as well. Because
Of course.
I
Yeah, no, I don't think
for
I've
this
watched it myself actually. I
Nah,
watched it.
because that main character again, it's like if the main guy is gonna sound weak the whole time, and I know he's the main character, the whole show is built around him. He's obviously gonna end up doing some badass stuff because he's the main character. I can't have him sounding weak the whole time. So that I watched like 2 or 3 episodes of that, and then you said you wanted to do something, the episode on something else instead. So I just did a temporary drop on that.
His voice could have changed in the last few episodes. You know, as he got the power ups, he could have got stronger. But this show did kind of give me like some Guilty Crown vibes from the ending. I would have to go back and rewatch Guilty Crown again because it's been a couple years. But yeah, like when I watched it the first time, to me it was a solid 7, 7.5. I was like, oh yeah, this is a pretty good anime. I do like my romance animes because I like the feelings of emotions, and I think they're good like slice of life and stuff like that. But rewatching it, I was like, build up, 9 through 15, not episodes 9 through 15. I give that like a 7.5. I think
Yeah, I thought it was
the
funny that one episode they had where everyone's clothes were melting off, and then they were just mad at all the boys
I
for
was that
checking them
episode
out.
8.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd say that thing that happened. That was pretty funny. It felt more like filler, but that was pretty funny.
it was a filler episode, I would say, but that might have been my favorite episode. I thought that one. That was an episode I actually enjoyed watching. I thought it was funny.
You didn't enjoy the episode when they when they did the backstory and my dude Hiro was just out here giving like kids names, like, oh, Ichigo for 15, you're Mitsuru, you're like, I forgot what the other dude's name was called. Um, he was just giving out names to everybody.
Yeah, and everyone fell in love with him for that. And then Ichigo changed that one girl. She like slanted the number, and she's like, "Your name's gonna end with an N instead of an R or something." It was like she went from like Ichiro to Ichino or something, and
Oh
he's like,
yeah,
"Oh," and then she's
was
like,
it?
"Now I'm in love with her instead of Hiro." It's like
Yeah,
whoever gave him the name is like whoever they
that was a
fell in love with.
lesbian one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, she was pretty cool, but I like that like little those 5, 6 episodes of that anime. And then I'm obviously episode 15 when um 02 realized it was Hero the entire time, like from our childhood past, like them coming together, like, oh yeah, now we finally like get together as one. I thought that was a nice good ending. That's where the anime should have ended at. They should have just like been fighting, and the anime was just like, you know what, now we're done. And they could have ended the show right there, and I thought it had a pretty good ending. But
How would it? Nothing would have happened if it just ended there. I'd be like, what happened? Like, do they ever escape from like they were essentially like slaves
I
being
mean,
kept in the dark this whole time, like monitored, kind of like a social experiment. I was like, do they ever break out of that? Like, do they ever kill all these reptile monsters? Like, if it ended there, uh, I would say why even start it if pretty much nothing happened. You're showing a glimpse of something.
I mean, but at the same time, I was kind of wondering that at like the end of the show too. I was like,
Yeah, that's why it didn't end well. It wasn't really that good overall for
that's
me.
what I'm saying. It should just ended at episode 15. Those last,
No, if it ended there, it would have been bad as well.
I think it would have been better. Like I got a happy ending behind like my two favorite characters in the show.
I feel like they got a happy ending at the end.
Did they really? I could have sworn they like committed suicide basically, and then like
Their souls like they ascended and they were like holding hands, and then they got reincarnated on a better version of Earth that they created.
no. That was like what was the point of that? This is one of the shows where I was like, they literally had everything wrapped up. They didn't need to have a bittersweet ending, and it still gave us a bittersweet ending. Like there was no reason for them to, I guess, sacrifice themselves. I feel like they easily could have made it back alive.
No, they were getting murked pretty bad. They were outnumbered by like 1,000 to 1.
No.
I don't even know.
I'm saying though, the show easily could have been written where they were alive back on the Earth with like the rest of the crew and everyone lived like happy.
02 was on Earth, and then she just randomly turned into a statue and then became that robot in space. I was like, what is going? It was hard for me to watch. I only finished it because there was only a few episodes left, but I was like, what is even going on anymore? She turned into a statue, and then just became that whatever thing. I don't know what it was called. It was like the star system or whatever.
Stella, whatever they were calling it. But it's also
She
telling
became that. That'd be like if I just became a computer.
you might be
Like,
able to, like 50 years in the future, you might be able to.
will I teleport into a computer though? It's not like someone hooks stuff like Dr. Franxx, like he had people attach like robotic limbs to him. So he
You
became kind of like robotic in that way. But imagine if someone just like, I'm standing on my couch, I'm just gonna teleport into space to become a spaceship.
no, but they could teleport your consciousness into a computer.
Yeah, but no one else was doing this. She just did it. She like randomly was like, "Oh, I have the ability to do this now."
I mean, that's what and that happens. That happens in
I
a
feel
lot of
like you
shows.
just don't like agreeing with me on anything. It's just like, regardless of what I say, you're gonna debate me on it. Like even if you do agree with me, you're just gonna play the other side for the sake of whatever. I don't even know if you're out here like believing all the stuff you're arguing.
See, you're telling me that it doesn't make sense that she came up with that ability. I mean,
Yes, that's what I'm telling you.
I feel like it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
I feel like it was so random. I feel like the end of that show was so random.
That's what I was saying. Like, it definitely could have been written with a. There was no reason for them not to have a happy ending with them to return back to Earth after they defeated everything, and then everyone just like lived happily ever after.
I
Instead,
don't
they
know
were
why
like,
they had to make Papa a different race. I feel like that's what made it more complicated.
they did. Yeah, it was like 20 episodes, two races, and then all of a sudden, whoops, we got a third one out here that's even more powerful than the two that were fighting the war, and
Yeah,
then you stop them too. And then it turns out the Quacksaurus, they were just defending their Earth. They weren't even the bad ones.
yeah.
But
I just don't know. Like,
see, but the show was like, you know what? Let's give everyone a happy ending except 02 and Hiro.
I don't feel like they got a bad ending. They saved the world essentially, and they were alive long enough to see that they saved the world. It's not like they died and then they're like, I hope what we did was enough. They actually like got to see that like they did enough. And they were together at the end, which is what they always wanted.
That's true. That's true. That's true. But I raised you that. Remember when you were watching Mirai Nikki and then the show ended and then my dude was just like sitting in space doing nothing for like 10,000 years?
Yeah.
Now, would you rather have it ended like that, or would you watch that Redial episode, which was the canon part of the anime and had a happy ending with Yuki busting in there to be with Yuno to have a happily ever after? Which ending did you like more?
I feel like it was the same ending because they showed Yuno pop up at the end of the original series. I just didn't know how she got there until I watched the Redial episode.
Yuno got there, and then the other choice is seeing how she didn't got there. But both scenarios, she got there. Which scenario would you choose?
I mean, I was fine with watching the episode, but I don't really know what you're asking. What's the comparison you're trying to make?
I'm trying to make that like the writers could have wrote a scenario where they saved the world and survived, or they could have wrote a scenario where they saved the world and died. There was no reason not to make a scenario where they saved the world and survived.
Oh, I was already over the show at that point. I think I wanted to drop it for sure at like 20.
It was
But even up to that point, it wasn't like a Naruto thing where like I watched all of Naruto and I was like captivated and really into it, and then I dropped Naruto because it got bad. This whole time I was like waiting for the show to like, it wasn't bad, but I was waiting for it to like get over the hump where it's either good or decent, and the whole time it was just like on that little threshold where it was decent, and then instead of turning into good, it turned into bad.
and I told you the last 4 episodes are hard to watch. And
Like
you're
the
like,
whole time it was like a 5, and I was like, is it gonna turn into a 6, 7? And then it just I would give it like a 4.
yeah, I think I would have to retract my 7.5 and give it 5.55.
Yeah.
I'll give episodes 9 through 15 like a 7, 7.5. I would rewatch those episodes just because I think those are like actual like good storytelling episodes. But outside of that, I think the entirety of the anime gets like a 4.
Yeah. Even though you just said 5, 5.5.
Yeah, what do you mean? Episodes 1 through 8 and episodes 16 through 24 is a 4, and then episodes 9 through 15 is a 7, 7.5, which brings that overall rating for the show of 5.5. Easy math.
Oh, I thought you were saying the whole show was a 4 after you had already said the whole show was a 5, so I was confused.
Oh no no
Yeah.
no no. Whole show is like 5, but those the episodes outside of 9 through 15 are a 4.
Yeah. I would rate it lower than that.
Dang, so
I,
sad.
yeah, I mean, like I literally just finished it because I saw the finish line in sight. I'm like, I'm on episode like 21. I can watch another hour of this just so I can say I saw the end of it.
Fair enough.
Whereas
Fair.
like Naruto, when I was at the end, I was like, all right, I'm ready to stop watching. Oh, there's still like 60 episodes left. I can't. That's several hours.
But ratio wise, though, you might as well finish out that last 0.1%.
No, because and it's not even that. It's like a way higher percentage than that.
For Naruto.
It was like 4 or 5 episodes left out of 24 episodes.
I was talking
It's
about
like that's like almost a fifth.
yeah, I was talking about the episodes for Naruto. There was only like 0.1% left of the anime. 1%
No, it
of
was
the
like 60 episodes left or 40 episodes left out of like 500. That's still,
no regular Naruto too. So we're talking
it's like
about
almost a 10th.
700.
So it's like 10% left.
No. You said
Probably
40
less.
episodes. Say 40 episodes. 5%. 5%.
Well, we had this call scheduled, and I had enough time to finish those last few episodes before the call. Whereas with Naruto, I wouldn't be able to just like pump those out before a call. That'd be like a few more days.
True. But
I ended up watching like I ended up watching just the battle on YouTube, so I skipped out all the pointless.
dang, it's sad. There was some pretty good dialogue that you missed during the episodes. That
I wouldn't say it was good. You can say I missed it, but
it was all right dialogue. It gave you some clues, a little bit of the backstories and flashbacks.
but
You
I was already
know,
over the show at that point.
I There's a lot of people that was over the show at that point. I'm actually not quite sure how Boruto was green lit. Um, but I mean Naruto does have like one of the most loyal fan bases. Um, but we should add Boruto to the list. I want to see you watch that, see what you think of that.
Dude, I did not. I have no interest in watching that show.
I mean, you got to watch it for the culture.
Dude, there's countless of other shows I haven't seen.
Boruto being one of them.
Yeah, but I'll just watch the other ones. Should we even get into favorite characters then?
I mean, my favorite character was still Zero Two. I feel like she's the one that had the most personality out of all of them. Yeah, all the other characters besides like
She had the most personality. You thought?
Yeah.
I didn't think so.
Who do you thought had the most personality? Hiro? He didn't. He followed whatever Zero Two said.
I mean, I liked Goro's personality. I think he had a lot of personality. He wasn't my favorite character though. I don't know. Again, it's kind of like when I was watching Batum. It's like I don't really know which of these characters I liked because
Exactly. They're all pretty forgettable.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna pick Ichigo.
Ichigo was all right. She was the top 3 for me.
Yeah, I think she might have been my favorite, but I thought Goro had a lot of personality.
He was all right. He was he should have let Ichigo know early on.
It was cool at the end how he went off and did his own thing for a little while.
Yeah, I was very surprised he still ended up with Ichigo.
Yeah, dude, he never gave up on his goal. He got it. I respect
I'd have
it.
been like after I would have heard like the confession. Sweet, on to the next one.
He kind of was like that because the next one was traveling the world, so he went off to do that, and then when he came back, she must have saw something else in him.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh damn, you was there. You was there. Kind of miss you now."
Yeah, so I feel like that's the way to do it. He didn't spend his whole life waiting around for her. He went off and then came back and he was like, "Oh, now it's easy picking. All right, I'll scoop it up."
Nah, now the ultimate boss move would have been, "Oh, this is easy picking. I don't want it anymore," and hit her with the nah.
I mean, he could have done that, but he probably still did want it, so he just took it.
Yeah, he probably still didn't want it, but he should have just like he should have held a grudge. He should have had a grudge and been like, "Nah, we ain't out here like that." Make her beg for it.
I thought they were gonna show Zorame and Miku together.
Oh yeah, but I mean, their relationship, their friendship was always kind of like odd. Always like that brotherly, sisterly thing. I think.
Yeah.
He was clearly like the most immature out of all of them.
Zorame gets like separated from everyone for a little bit, and he just like ends up at that old lady's house.
Yeah, I remember that episode.
They never like brought her back into the story.
I mean, didn't she die?
The old lady?
Yeah.
No, they showed her like looking out the window one time when that huge battle at the end was going on where some of the nines died. They like showed her like looking out the window.
Oh, that was her. Which plantation did got destroyed when that Klaxosaur, that huge Klaxosaur was like coming out of the woodworks? It was like episode 15 when
it was either 9 or it was the one with those other. There was like another numbered plantation where everyone had like the same Franxx.
Mm-hmm. I thought she was part of that plantation and got like milly rocked out of existence.
No, I think she was part of 13. She was just in the city rather than in that area that they were always chilling in.
Oh yeah, see, I thought that she was like in the area that got destroyed.
And I thought they were trying to say that was like his mom or something.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, I thought there was like some sort of weird vibe that was going on. And you really never saw like.
But again, they did a poor job of telling whatever they were trying to tell in the story.
Yeah, it was. They gave you like a little bit of everything, but like not too deep into it. They gave you like a little bit of dip on the chip. But
which is like when we watch ReZero, you see the first episode, you see him get teleported to that world, so you know what's going on. He was over here buying a comic book or magazine, whatever, and then he just gets teleported. This show, you just get thrown into it, and the whole time I'm just wondering what's going on. And then the show just ended, and the ending wasn't good.
Look, but that's a good marketing technique. Like you're like watching the show, yo, what's going on? They're definitely going to explain what's going on. And they just never explain what's going on, but you're watching each episode expecting to get more information. It just doesn't come.
No, I only watched it because we had to talk about it. And it wasn't as bad as Gantz. Like Gantz, I wasn't even able to finish that, even though I knew we were going to talk about it. I was like, we'll talk about something else in that episode too.
I think you should give Gantz another try. I still need to figure out what episode it gets good at. This is good for me though, because it allows me to go back and rewatch all these episodes I watched 4 or 5 years ago. Because obviously now 4 or 5 years older, I think differently of these animes. But now that I can rewatch them again, I can see is like, do I still have that same sentiment as I first had while I was watching them?
I mean, I kind of think with myself that I'm going to have the same opinion if I watch it 4 or 5 years later.
Hey, maybe we'll see. So far, like Elfen Lied, I think it was worse than when I watched it 4 years ago.
I watched Yu Yu Hakusho again, which you still haven't seen, but I was watching that a lot in 4th grade, and I watched it again in college, and I was like, oh, this show's awesome.
See, that's different. Because it's like one of my favorite animes, like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Like it's in my top 5. That's an anime that I like. Basically, the anime I've seen in my top 10. I know that I'm gonna like those no matter when I watch them. And I know no matter what, whether I was watching like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
So you're saying if it's like outside your top 10, you might have a different opinion if you watch it again.
Yeah, maybe like outside my top 15.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes more sense.
Like, yeah, because I know if I rewatch Bleach, Inuyasha, I'm gonna love those shows. I've actually rewatched Inuyasha like 2 or 3 years ago, and I still liked it like I did when I was a little kid. So there are like some animes that I know that I rewatch I'm gonna like, but animes like Elfen Lied, Gaunt's, Darling in the Franxx, like me rewatching them, I'm like, okay, now I now have a different opinion on these animes based on the other ones I've seen since then. And unfortunately, like so far the ones we've seen, they've all gone down in value, just because I've seen better anime since then.
Is there any other points you want to get into on this show, or you just want to let them know what they can expect next week?
I think that's it. I would not. This is one of the first animes that I would not recommend.
Even though you recommended it to me that we do a whole episode on it.
Hey, look, I recommend it to you because I also wanted to rewatch it to see, like, I could have rewatched it, liked it even more, and then I could be like, yo, this is 10, one of the best anime I've ever seen. Now I'm recommending it to everybody. It just didn't work out like that.
Which I didn't look on my anime list too much because I actually had just finished watching it pretty much prior to us recording this. But I remember initially when I was on like episode 5 or something, I looked at it and there were some people rating it pretty highly, but maybe they saw something I didn't.
They saw a good story. I think if you are a romance anime junkie, like if you really like romance anime, you might enjoy this. There's definitely other better romance animes out there.
Yeah, I thought ReZero was a better one.
No, ReZero is a trash romance anime. Like this dude is like out here pining over Emilia when he has like Rem, who's 10 times better.
You could say the same thing. I think Ichigo is probably 10 times better than Zero too.
What? No, she is not. Ichigo's up there, but I like Zero too. What she was trying to do.
I would have just been with Ichigo.
Nah, Zero Two had like a much more commanding personality. She was there, ride or die. She was out here like, hey, like if you're gonna ride with me, I'm taking everything you have, and I'm going out here and I'm destroying some claxosaurs. And that's all you can really ask for. Like that's why they were created, or why they thought they were created. So she was out here doing her mission. But yeah. back to Zero. I mean, back to ReZero. This dude had a roster of girls who liked him, and he's out here pining over Emilia, and she's like bottom 5.
What's his roster? He had 2.
He had Rem. He had
and Emilia.
No. Who was that? The green hair girl.
She didn't like him. You even said in our ReZero episode that you respected that she's like, I'm not out here pining over you like all these other girls.
but no, he said that if I didn't have a 1 or 2 in my heart, you might be number 3. And then she was like, "Yo, slow your roll. Like I am fond of you, but not like that yet." That there was a little bit of foreshadowing that like she was about to become part of the roster. Then on top of that, he also had the Battle Hunter. Yes, she likes slice kids guts open, but she saw something in him.
He did not have Bow Hunter on his roster of girls that he could get.
I'm pretty sure that when he met her, or like the second time he met her, she said something like, "Oh, you like smell good" or something like that.
Yeah,
He could.
she didn't like him though. It's only because he was trembling and like sweating the first time he met her. It was really the second time, but like in her mind, it's like we'd never met before. This guy just comes up to me, he's trembling and sweating like he knows something that he shouldn't. And she just like was kind of playing with him. She's like, "Oh, you this is interesting. You you smell like fear or something."
She probably found
Like
that attractive. She probably found that attractive. We don't know. I think she could have been part of the roster. Who was the other
that's
girl?
absurd that you think that.
I think that yeah, she could have been part of the roster. You don't know that.
She might have wanted to slice him up, and maybe she could have got off of that, but I don't think that means there's like a relationship there.
You never you never have those. You never know those relationships. They just like they're at each other's necks. He might enjoy getting his bowels sliced open by her. She enjoys slicing his
He
bowels.
can only do that once, though. Then he's done. So,
But until he comes back to life and he allows it to happen again. But
wow.
either
All
way,
right.
even if you have 2 people on the roster, it's still a roster. And
That was like a prime example of you like debating stuff. I don't know if you actually believe you actually believe that the Bow Hunter was on Subaru's roster of hoes.
this show is called Anime Bro Debates for a reason. But
It doesn't mean you have to debate stuff just to debate it.
yes, I mean that doesn't mean that. But if you believe it, it should be debated.
Yeah, I'm saying I question whether you actually believe that.
I believe it. With that being said, even if you have 2 people on your roster, it is still a roster. If you had 2 people in front of Amelia, and Amelia's still bottom 5, I place her 5th. I can't think
Fifth
of the
on
other. What's up?
fifth on what? His roster?
Yeah,
She was definitely number one.
No, I'm saying that's where she should be at. She should be 5th on his roster, and then she's probably like the 5th best female character overall in the series.
I'm trying to think who like other than Rem and her, I don't know anyone that showed an interest in him like that. Definitely not the Bow Hunter. I don't.
Number 3, Felix was all right. However you think about Felix.
Felix is a dude.
No, Felix is the dude. Who was the Felicia? No, who was the 5th princess that Homeboy bought in there?
Anastasia Hoshin.
No. Oh, Anastasia. She was part of the roster too. He gave her an apple. Number 3 right there. Thank you for pointing that out. That's number 3. Not the one I was talking about though. The one I was
She wasn't
talking
on the
about.
roster. She definitely like should have been, but
No, she definitely likes them. She got her first apple from him that wasn't peeled.
no, that's the other girl. Anastasia's the purple haired girl that just used him to get information and had all the little animals on her squad. Her like, warriors were made up of those animals.
Yeah. All right. So the one that had like the little pets.
Oh, the girl that like she had only had peeled apples in her life. She had never had like an unpeeled apple.
Yeah. So what was her name?
I have no idea.
Oh, that's still 4 right there. That's 4 before Amelia should have been there.
Dude, she kicked him in the face for trying to lick her foot.
Yeah, but I mean, after he died and like went back, she never kicked him in the face. So that's deleted because she also thought that he was like a whining pet. But once she saw like, yo, this is the man that gave me an apple, and he's out here repping his squad, newfound respect. She never found the disrespect again. But and then the other person I was talking about was the one. Was that dude's name was Arthur? That was the other guy's name, right? Arthur. The
Wilhelm?
No. The powerful guy that like
Julius?
Bow Hunter.
Oh. Dude, you said that was like your favorite dude. You don't even remember his name?
I'm horrible with names. Like
Reinhardt?
Reinhardt, yes. Who was part of Reinhardt's house? The little girl that he bought to be like the one that said that she was going to tear down the entire country. if you want.
Felt.
Felt, Felix. See, they both begin with L. Like the first two letters are F
They
E.
both begin with L. Is that what you said?
The first two letters are F and E, so easy to mix up. She could have been part of the roster too.
Dude, you're giving Subaru like way too much credit.
No, I'm getting Amelia no credit, which is what she deserves.
I said Subaru.
You know, I'm saying it's not the case. I'm giving Amelia no credit. Like she deserves to be at the bottom of the roster when you have all those other people that are better than she is.
Well, if you ever watch Yu Yu Hakusho, I think Yusuke and Keiko, I'm more interested in that like love dynamic than the one in this show.
I'm gonna have to pick up Yu Yu Hakusho again. There might just be something with the animator because I think I'm on episode 9 or episode 11.
That's what you got at 2 at my place, but really the first 9 episodes are like not indicative of like the whole show. They just had to show how Yusuke dies and then becomes back to life and then becomes a spirit detective, and then after that the show starts. That's pretty much all you've seen is him die and come back to life, but there was no fighting in that other than him fighting his high school bullies. Now like from this point on he's like fighting demons.
See, I got to the part though, like that part where he was fighting demons in the forest.
Yeah.
I think that's as far as I got. But the thing
Yeah,
is,
he's with Hiei and Kurama.
I don't
Or
definitely
not Kurama. Shit. No, you know it is Kurama, I think. Yeah.
Well, I do know that like I got to that point, I didn't really finish it. The same thing happened with Hunter x Hunter. I started watching that like a couple years ago and got to like episode 13 or 14. I also dropped that one. There's just, I guess there's just something about how the way who's the author or who's the one that created those, because they're both created by the same creator.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but you're correct.
Yeah, I guess it's some way how he's like telling his story. And I just trail off an interest before it actually picks up. I might force myself through it one day. Like, let me.
I just don't know how you could like drop those and then sit through all of this one.
Because this was only 24 episodes, whereas
But you didn't even make it to 24 episodes on those ones, and I even as slow as it was to start, I would rather watch those first 10 episodes of Yu Yu Hakusho than watch this again.
No. Well, that's because you've already finished Yu Yu Hakusho, so you have prior experience to it.
No, even just those first 10 episodes that are like the slowest part of the show, I would rather watch that. And then stop at episode 10, then watch this one.
I disagree. Well, actually, I mean, it depends. If I had to choose between watching 10 episodes of Yu Yu Hakusho and then 24 episodes of this anime, I'm choosing the 10 episodes of Yu Yu Hakusho because even though I didn't really like either one of them, it's 10 episodes of something I don't like versus 24 episodes of something I don't like. But if I had to choose between watching episodes 9 through 15 of Darling in the Franxx versus the first 10 episodes of Yu Yu Hakusho, I'm doing Darling in the Franxx.
Fair enough.
Okay. But at some point, I might revisit that. When I catch up on all the other animes that I still have to finish, because I have like, I think 5 or 6 that are ongoing.
Well, you said you already had one picked out for next week.
Yes. Darwin's Game.
All right. Well, I haven't seen that one. You said that one's ongoing, right?
They completed the first season a couple months ago.
So it just started even.
Yes, it is definitely going to be a second season. It is, I think it's pretty interesting. It's Batum, but more fleshed out. I really like the characters.
Well, that's good because I feel like a good portion of the shows we've done so far, I've like struggled to even pick a character I like.
This is where we're going to go into like, well, it's good. You want to knock out like the worst anime, so you know how to compare it to the better anime that you've seen. That allows you to have like a wide range of experience across anime subjects.
I mean, there's a ton of anime out there. I'm sure we could do our whole show just on shows that I like, and we would still have an immense amount of content.
We would, but so look, it's like the little kid growing up. Yes, I know you like candy. You can love candy, but sometimes you just have to eat your vegetables. You can't eat candy for 10 straight years, no vegetables, and then expect to be healthy.
So Darling in the Franxx, vegetable, and
Llama,
then
you
next
like
week.
you like lima beans?
No.
Yeah, I hate lima beans. Darling in the Franks is like lima beans, but lima beans have some. I guess they have like some healthy essential ingredients that you might need. I haven't eaten lima beans in a couple years, but a few years that is. But still a vegetable.
Yep, and then we're gonna eat some candy next week with Darwin's game.
Yes, or it could be carrots. I still like carrots though, so
All right, fair enough.
sounds good.
All right, well that'll do it for this episode, and see you next time.
Peace.